Hey folks,
Hey, Joe, what's happening, man?
nothing much. How you doing?
Well, I'm doing a lot better if my laydowns do a little bit better on Thursday.
Well, I
Kitty
know.
cats, bro. Kitty cats.
Yeah, I'm super superstitious, so I stopped wearing the jersey I had on. I try to, wash my
I
hands
know all
differently.
that shit too. I've done that my whole life, and I just think, you know what? It's the same old bullshit, man. And it just
They've got
always is.
they've got a lot of injuries. Hopefully, I
Oh,
hate
they
the
had a lot of
I
injuries
hate the
last year.
cow. Oh, I know. This time it's on offense. I hate the Cowboys,
No,
so I
but
really hope they beat them. So we're from Detroit,
I
Neville,
could,
so we commiserate over the Lions.
I could handle the big D smoking the D down south for sure. Um,
Yeah.
I would like that because I remember when I was from the D and they said, "You're from Dallas?" And I was like 25. And I was like, I'm gonna knock you out, man. No, I'm from the only D, man. I'm from Detroit. Like the place in the world, it was the Paris of the world in the early 1900s. I mean, like, are you kidding me? Until like 1930, it was the place. We won wars, man. We built, I mean, it's unbelievable. And now it's experiencing the Renaissance. Things are going on downtown. I mean, and it's different we've always heard it our whole lives, Joe, like, oh, this kid, it's coming around, coming back. We got a new mayor. Well, this time, man, like real stuff's happening.
Hey, Adrian,
Hello, hello.
how are
It's
you?
happening.
I'm working on my other computer, so I'm going to be off screen because I'm going to be staring at another screen.
Oh, no problem. Glad you're here. Yeah, we'll give it 3 more minutes and then we'll get started.
Is that Tears for Fears?
Yes. Yeah,
Oh my God, blast
I
from the past.
it's funny. You know, I'm on YouTube every now and then, and I always my space is sort of a counter to all the antiseptic. It looks like an IKEA catalog background kind of thing. So this is all the stuff that used to be in boxes that I could never unpack. That my wife said, "Hey, you need your own space for that kind of stuff." So I'm out in the garage, and so this is like from my Columbia House collection, and so I mix them up. Like I have Daryl Hall and John
Hall and
Hall back
Oates.
here. Yeah, yeah.
Oh
So
my
I mix
God,
them up so that people can notice them. So
I love it.
I saw Hall and Oates at Joe Louis in about
oh,
88 maybe or so. It was a great show, man. That was a
yeah,
great show.
yeah. And now they hate each other, which is funny. Uh,
Yeah, it was funny.
yeah.
Another so I saw JLA that was really great too was Cyndi Lauper, man. She crushed it. My sister was 8, so it was
Mm.
like 1984, And she and her little friend, they're in third grade, and she ran down on the main floor. She goes around backstage. She works her way around backstage, and Big Brother's like, I can't get back there, right? And so I waited. My girlfriend ran back there. She stuck around, and then finally, uh, uh, her guitarist came around and he's like, just come on back.
Oh, that's nice. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's a
And then
life
I
changer.
and I put her up there by the door and told her, hey, just I told the bouncer, I said, hey man, they're just being cool, if there's any chance, they really love her. And they waited patiently. And the guy says, okay, that's it, no more guests. Oh, where are those two little girls? And he
Ah.
opens up the door, takes the two little girls, and not me, not my girlfriend, just the two little girls into the backstage. And about 20 minutes later, they come out holding Cyndi Lauper's hands.
Oh,
And
that's really awesome.
it was way awesome, man. Way awesome.
So how's their meetup these days? You got one tonight? Yeah or no?
No, I got one next Thursday.
Okay. Okay. I thought it was it's a general one today or this week or
No, it was yesterday, but
oh,
we
okay.
don't meet. But we
Okay.
don't meet.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, the IE general meeting never meets. Hasn't met we'd go there, various. I'd be like, dude, why are we driving all the way to Riverside? Got 3 people here. Can't we just do this online? No, I like in person. All right, dude. Whatever.
Okay. So next week is just a general help desk? Yeah.
Yeah, second Thursday of the month. That's me. IEWP meetup, second Thursday of the month.
Cool. How you doing,
And
Neville?
everything else is great.
Oh, good,
Yeah, what's
good,
up?
good.
What's up, Neville?
It's all good. Your meetups are always lively and
Ha
lots of
ha.
action. Oh yeah.
Yeah, we got a lot of guys in there talking smack, but
Talking
we'll be all
smack.
right. We got a lot of egos, man. So, what do you do?
Yeah. Right.
All
I
right.
try not to let it bother me too bad.
No, no, no. It's good. It's a diverse, it's a diverse contribution, is the way I would put it.
Bunch of egomaniacs, man. You know what I'm saying.
Kind of remind, kind of reminds me one time I remember, I don't mean this disparagingly, but I just thought it was kind of amusing at one point. It was, I don't know, a couple of months ago, and Eric was was talking about some pretty sophisticated subject early on in the meetup, and then there was a pause, and then Eagle said, "Well, okay, yeah, maybe we've had enough of this Mensa stuff." And I thought, oh boy, because Eric is a really bright guy, really like he's on a level,
Well,
and
sometimes sometimes a 5 cent word does just as good as a 50-cent word. And
yes, that's true.
sometimes when you're talking to a broad, I mean, if you're talking to a group of people that's got like newbies and advanced, 15 years, 20 years, 30 years of experience, you can make the guys with 5 or less years of experience think they don't know anything.
Right.
But
Yes.
what's the purpose of that? Like Joe worked for Metro. He can't talk a lot of design smack. If you started talking design smack, stuff like this, maybe one of us would understand, right?
Yes.
If
Yes.
if you
Yeah.
start talking about just bunch of code, maybe Joe would understand, right? The
Yeah.
rest. And so sometimes people get a little hung up, and they're my friends, but don't let that stuff bother you. And understand this. Today, you might feel like, oh, I didn't know that. That's great. You'll always not know something.
You'll
And it's
always
better
not
to,
know something.
and it's oftentimes he doesn't know stuff. And don't let the vernacular think, put you on your heels. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
just,
Yeah.
just, it's like I used to tell people, if I ask you a question and you answer basically, I'm going to sock you in the mouth because it's not basic or if I ask the question. You know what I mean? So if
Yeah.
it's
Good way of putting it. Yes.
Yeah, that's why my meetup I always take pride and I'll stay there as long as it takes.
Yes. Yeah. And you're famous for having gone extended hours.
Oh, till tomorrow.
Yeah, you've been in an extended play many times, I know.
Yeah, into tomorrow morning sometimes. But anyway, let's let Joe talk.
Okay. Excellent.
All right. Well, again, welcome. I mean, you guys have seen these slides a million times, but welcome for everyone. Welcome to everyone that's here.
We're not seeing the
Uh,
slides, brother. We're seeing your notes.
oh, okay. Hold on. Oh,
Yes. Good point.
okay. Thought I
That
selected it.
happened last time.
All right. Can you see it now?
Now you got it, brother.
Okay. Yeah. I thought I selected it. Yeah. So welcome to the December 3rd Santa Clarita Valley Meetup. We do this at various times of the year. Our local sponsorship to do some of the other things that we do here locally is made possible by Green Geeks. These are our 5 good faith rules. I always start the meeting with this so that we all know we're here to sort of share in WordPress, work together, not be jerks to each other. Um, this is as always, you can find out what news and events are coming up in your dashboard when you sign into WordPress. So, for example, some of our upcoming meetups are here locally, as well as 6.9 is about the launch. I think either today or this week. So some news about that. Yesterday's State of the Word, where they had a few technical issues. There's a story about that, as well as some other things in the dashboard you can find and click through. You can find our information on our meetup at this URL, wpsantaclaritavalley.org. It's our meetup page where you can get not just our meetup information, but as we ramp up for our WordCamp information. Also, there'll be links to our videos on YouTube as well. A lot of these meetups are recorded, and I put the videos up there so you can refer to them later. And you can find us at any of these URLs socially. So we're on, as I mentioned, our Meetup page, our YouTube channel, and then we're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Blue Sky kind of thing.
Hmm.
This is today's agenda. We know each other. If you'd like, you can put any additional information on yourself in the chat. We're going to do news and info, which I always start with. Then we're going to talk about WordCamp Santa Clarita, and this is sort of my way to get through the event. I'll talk a little bit about it later, but I'm always interested in seeing how other camps work. I attend camps. I do other WordPress events. So this is sort of all my notes and things about how to plan a WordCamp, and it's helping us plan this camp indirectly. So I'm trying to do that on a regular basis as well. I'll provide updates on what's going on. We'll have an open discussion. So I want your feedback as much as possible, and then we'll talk about what's next. These are some of the events that are happening in the WordPress space. It's a lot of Campus Connects going on. There have been a lot of WordCamps in Europe, Asia. As you know, the winter months come along, it seems like in the States, it used to be January through October or November. And then it seems like it would shift overseas. So that's happening now. There, as I mentioned in the previous slide, there's a link to information about WordPress 6.9 as well as some other things happening as well. If you go to WordPress Central, you'll see where all the events are happening around the world. We talked last time in our planning meeting about the different types of WordPress events, you know, whether it's a Do Action or a Campus Connect or a next generation event or a WordCamp. This is where you'll find that information. So you can, I provide a link in the slides to that as well. And today's resource slides, let me put that in the chat as well. So you can follow along or refer to these slides later if you'd like. Because again, I want to try to share this information. So as you're planning events, I love to find out what other people do to plan events, as well as if you're interested in, as time goes on, you'll get a lot of the experience that it takes to plan an event as well. Right. So last month we talked about these bulleted items. We talked about what a WordCamp is, because it's amazingly enough in meetups, and I think Neville, you mentioned this at our last meetup. A lot of folks that come into WordPress have no idea what the community is, where they can find help. You know, like all the great help desk meetups here on the West Coast. Um, so it's amazing that when you do run across people that use WordPress, that they don't know what a WordCamp is. So we talked a little bit about what that was. Um, we also talked about here in Santa Clarita, or just in general, as a rule, whenever I go to an event, I'm always taking notes because I'm always thinking how I'd like to, pick things from other great ideas or try to make the best event. So I really want to know what you like most when you attend an event or when you participate in an event. And that can help shape what we want to do in Santa Clarita. We talked a little bit about that. We talked about the various roles on the organizing team, especially for WordCamp. They have a lot of designated roles, but one of the things that I found when you have a smaller team, like in a local WordCamp, is that sometimes people do multiple roles or they combine this and do a little bit of that. So we talked a little bit about that. I shared some links to the roles. There's also some how-tos and some tutorials on how to organize the WordPress way. So I shared that as well. We talked about where we'll have our WordCamp in Santa Clarita. There's a few venues. When we had WordCamp Santa Clarita in the first one that was in person before the pandemic, it was at the University Center, and we did I'll share a link in the chat as well. We did a virtual tour here as a team, but then I also did a walkthrough. I'll talk a little bit about that as well. We talked about when we're going to have our event, because here in Santa Clarita, um, I know 3 of the 4 of us or 4 of the 5 of us on this uh, meetup today or in the Zoom today are from Southern California. But in Santa Clarita, like, where Steve is out in the Inland Empire, it gets a little warmer than if you're within the LA area. So there's certain ideal times to have the event here in Santa Clarita. And I would say, and I sort of provided like some weather data, and so I kind of go overboard with that stuff. But really, the best month is really before April, because in the summer through November it's super hot out here, so it can be kind of unbearable. So we talked about that, and again at the bottom there's a link to the previous slides that we looked at last time. Oh, so with that, um, I know Adrian, you weren't at the last one, and if you aren't too busy, and I know you're an incredible organizer with WordPress Accessibility Day, tell me about what you do for your event or what you'd like to see in an event, whether it's online or a WordCamp in person, and
Uh,
share with the group like why you organized and how you got involved with WordPress Accessibility Day.
okay. Um,
That was a lot of
let's
questions,
see.
so feel free to
Yeah.
answer whatever you want.
Okay. I'm just going to try and rattle off what I think, and if I haven't answered your question, let me know. Let me see. I just finished up my third year with WordPress Accessibility Day, which, if you don't know, it's a 24-hour meetup event, online conference. And it's 24 hours because we do actually have teams all the way around the globe, and we have speakers. We have 24 of them, and we do about a 40-minute talk, and then they have about 10 minutes for Q&A. And let me see. So I guess 2022 was, no, I'm sorry, 2023 was my first year. I had been going to the WordPress accessibility meetups, and Amber Hines is the organizer, or one of the lead organizers for that, and put out a call and said, "Hey, is anybody interested?" And I said, Sure, why not? I mean, I've learned so much from this community. I'm sure I'll just go to the general interest meeting. It was in January. So if you're interested, it'll be coming this January. Um, and I kind of went and thought, oh, I'll just do like one little small thing in the background while I kind of get my feet under me.
Hmm.
And they said, okay, well, the person that had been the volunteer lead organizer the previous year needed to move over to do tech and vendors. And so they said, okay, well, who here could do that? And then somebody said, how about you, Adrian? And I said,
You were
well,
volunteered, huh?
I volunteered. And the woman who was went on to be the tech and vendors said, I will help you. I will hold your hand all the way through if you need. And she did. We've become great friends. What's that saying? You show up for the cause and you stay for the people, because it's been a really great group of people, as you probably know, because you're all in the WordPress community and you're here. And I do help organize because we have teams and we do them in several hour shifts because it's a 24-hour
That's
event.
that's the
We
hardest
have
that's the hardest role actually. A
Yeah,
little,
actually,
yeah.
it's tough. The scheduling it is tough, and but we do them, especially for the tag admins. We ask 3-hour blocks for the volunteers, and we have people that are monitoring the Q&A. We have people that are monitoring the chats. We want to again have an inclusive and hate-free zone. We've been very fortunate. I hope that your events have been the same. We also have an MC who does an introduction and then helps manage the Q&A. So I organize all of those folks. I also organize the tech admins, who are the ones behind the scenes, actually, hitting the buttons or not.
Hmm.
And so those, because it is a more complicated role and requires a lot more access, that's usually made up of pretty much that key organizer group. And so we ended up this year doing 6-hour shifts each. And we kind of did East Coast, West Coast, passed it off to Australia, and they passed it off to the European time zones.
Yeah, so
So
Well, let me ask you one question because
Mhm.
a little known fact, the first year I did your role and it was like the
Oh,
craziest overnight thing ever. Did you get any sleep is a question.
I did each year I get more sleep and
That's
fewer
good.
tears. The first year I wanted to cry
Yeah.
because the feed broke and it was
Ah,
like 2 in the morning our time here on the West Coast. And I'm like calling Amber, who had just gone to bed because it was like 4 in the morning for her.
hmm.
So that was very stressful. We remedied that. This year, what we did, I don't know what you're planning because it sounds like yours is more in person. Because it was a 24-hour event, we moved up to the Zoom events platform, which was much more expensive, but much more stable and had a lot more features that were like game changers for us this year.
I think
So,
one of the coolest things about having you at this meeting is hopefully I'll be able to ask you a million questions about what you've
yeah.
done because our event, the first year it was both. You know,
Okay.
we have the in person
Yeah.
and then they stream it, and then
Yep.
it was a pandemic, so then it was online the next 2 years. So
Yeah.
I'm always interested to hear what the current, way people like you just did it in 2025 versus when we did it in 2022. So I'll definitely hit
Yeah.
you up with
We
lots of questions.
found that there's like just a regular Teams meeting. Then there's like a tier that's the team to the webinar. And that we found out the hard way. Um, because we need that API key for 24 hours and it stops after 8, which means and for us, again, being an accessibility event, we have live captioning, not auto captions. We
hmm.
actually have live captioners, which is an API feed. And then we also have live ASL interpreters, which is another API live feed.
Hmm.
And both of those would start to go out, and then the whole thing would cut out. So I think you're good for like 8 hours. So if you're not doing more than that, and then you can, then I think you're okay. But having one that lasted for 24 hours, we were not able to do.
Yeah, and unless it's changed, what WordPress did previously, they had a company that would handle the videoing of it, and
Yeah,
we hired white coat captioning for the captioning. But
yeah.
when I was with the lead team for WordCamp US, I was trying to fight to get ASL, but they didn't go for it. But so yeah, so your experience and your know-how is definitely welcome here. So thank you.
All right.
All
Did
right.
I answer all the questions?
Yeah, I mean, well, I guess the other question is, have you done word camps before? I know you've done word. Oh, I saw you in US in San Diego, but had
Yeah,
you
I
done
saw
it
you.
other than
I
that?
was in
That's
San
when I
Diego.
first
That
met
was the
you.
very first one I'd ever attended. And then not this year, but the year before, I did go to the one in Portland, the
Hmm.
first one in Portland. So I did go to that one. I was not involved in any way other than as an attendee to either of those.
Yeah, I think the three of us, Steve, Neville, and I, we were in Portland this year, so it was
Oh,
interesting
okay.
to see. Yeah, it was interesting to see how they did it this year. Oh, and then by the way,
Okay.
hi, Alex. Welcome.
Hey, Joe. How you doing?
How are you?
Oh, good. It's rainy season right now here, so I'm suffering a lot of to
Oh,
storm
okay.
here.
Hey, well, weren't there a couple of word camps in your region recently? You want to tell us about, did you, I think I saw some
Yeah,
pictures of you there, yeah? Or tell us about.
yeah. Well, I have involved in a lot of events and work camps here in Central and Latin America, actually. I don't know if you had time to see the State of the World speech yesterday. Matt mentioned the WordPress Youth Day. I was one of the organizers on that.
Ah,
And also, I was part of the organizing team in Work in Nicaragua and Work in San Jose in Costa Rica too this year. And also, there's one more. Work in Guatemala. Yeah,
yeah.
that was one of my favorites
Mm-hmm.
because it's little and it's very warm. The
Is
people in
that,
Guatemala is very warm.
Because
Yeah.
I heard San Jose had one of their biggest turnouts since pre-pandemic. So you prefer
Yeah.
the smaller events, is what you're saying.
Yeah, but okay. In San Jose, it's something more close to European WordCamp because I only have attended WordCamps in Europe. I hadn't before the chance to attend WordCamp in US. So, but it's close to that because it's huge. This year we had 350, I think,
Okay.
attendees.
Were you on the
Uh,
organizing team for all the events you just mentioned?
yeah,
Oh wow. Wow.
yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, and but last year in San Jose was maybe 150, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the attendance in every event, believe me, is just going down these days. But I think it's yeah, there's a lot of reasons, but uh,
Why do you think it's going down?
uh, it could be because maybe the content of the WordCamps, maybe the people, the work some WordCamps are having some content that you already have in YouTube or you already have in AI, maybe in ChatGPT. You can ask something in a chat and you just have so. But also there's maybe there is a reason that in some places the community is not really developed. They just want go to a WordCamp and came back to their town and they want to have a WordCamp instead of develop a meetup group there. So that's one of the reasons too.
Hmm.
But also, for example, with the youth day, we had sold out in the first month
Wow.
when we launched the event because the parents were really interested in that their kids learn about technology and WordPress, yeah, too. So why not?
Did you
So
did you work with Destiny on that?
no,
Destiny Kano?
no, it was it was uh, a local initiative.
Okay.
We were work with Ishora Peira and Rocio from Spain.
Okay.
So they are Ishora is in charge right now of the WordPress credit program.
Oh, okay.
So we work with them and yeah, they mentor us about mostly about the how to reach the sponsors because that's
Yeah, and
the
that's
next thing that
yeah,
that WordCamps are getting struggling, yeah, getting sponsored for to get the things. But it's also because it's also the reason on that it's also related to the what do you want to have in your work? What do you want to give to the attending? I have heard about events that they don't print anything. They just have the speakers and have the attendees, and it's just workshops, talks, and that's it.
yeah. And people
They
don't
don't.
like
Yeah,
people want freebies,
yeah,
or at
of
least
course.
a
Yeah,
nice dinner or something like that, some sort of thank
yeah.
you.
That's a
Yeah.
thing that if you go to if you go to work in Spain, you will have a lot of food there because they spend a lot of money in food. So
Hmm. Hmm.
yeah.
Wow, and like I said, it's great to have you here too because you've got all the experience as well. So, um, let me go to the next slide here. Oh, if you need anything related only to web stuff. Oh, Steve,
It's
what
just
you
me,
want?
bro.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
It's just me putting my contact information there for
Okay.
anybody. If you just, I mean, like if I put it in there, it's because I expect you guys to get at me. So get at me if
Okay.
you need me, you know?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. All right. All right. So just to begin starting the updates again, this is the proposed venue for those that may not have seen it. This is the University Center in Santa Clarita. It's a couple of exits for me. It's very close to Neville, I think. You're close. Yeah, you're closer than I am. I'm over in Castaic. But here's an update on what's happened since the last time we talked. I did the initial tour of the University Center on the 13th, and I met the team over there. She took me around, and if and and by the way, let me put it in the chat also. Um, well, we can look at it again. But the venue is incredible. It's made for tech events. It's got a lot of great spaces. At the last meetup, we took a look at the video that they share on their site in terms of seeing what kind of rooms they have. They have nursing stations. They have spaces for networking for the sponsors. So it's great. It's set up for us. Um, she's also sent over like I wanted to get the maps and things so I could start working on accessible versions of floor plans and things like that. Um, Also, we talked about the potential dates, which are fine. What we talked about last time is April is probably the ideal time to have it because again, once we hit May, it could be 100 degrees. Um, but the first week and a half of April is spring break in this area, so the university center will be totally ours. There'll be no students around or anything like that, so that'd be great. But also, I mentioned to her that we're going to come back as a team and take a look at the venue and do another walkthrough. So um, we'll probably do that after the second bullet. I did it. I followed up on the application. I haven't heard back, even though I put the application in and back in August. So I sent an email last week. I reached out on Slack today, so I'm not sure why I haven't heard back. But I've reached out to a couple of people that told me, "Hey, Joe, I saw your application in the system, so I don't know what's going on." But I mentioned that, it's getting down to crunch time because in terms of getting the calls out, finding sponsors, we need as many months in the lead up as possible. In January, it'll be 4 months out. So I'll let you know in the next week when I hear back from that. So hopefully that'll give us the time to get started. What we're doing now is sort of the third bullet. I've talked to a number of people in the community that want to help. And we're sort of doing a soft call for organizers. So anyone that may be interested in doing something with the WordCamp, a few people have reached out already. We have a number of people that are interested. So we may do a hard call when we get the approval from the WordPress team. Oh, go ahead and unmute, Adrian. Oh, and by the way, my meetups, I don't do the raised hand thing. Just unmute and go for it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, but
I
that's
didn't
very
want to
kind to
cut
be.
you
That's
off.
very, yeah, you're very courteous and kind to do that. But it's open here. Go for
So you're looking, I'm like getting very practical. Um, so you're still looking at location. Um, and forgive me because I haven't been involved in this before. How many people, how many speakers, like how many days?
it. Okay.
What kind of numbers of folks do you get typically? Um, what are you charging? Have you made a call for organizer? You're making a call for organizers and then speakers and uh, is that,
Okay.
all those things.
Okay.
What
Okay.
do we know? What do we know?
Okay. I'll start from the beginning. So generally, and we talked a little bit about this last time. A word camp it could be 1, 2, or 3 days. When we've
Mhm.
had them in the past, we've done a 3 day, so a Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Okay.
For instance, the one local word camp in the States this year, Word Camp Montclair, has been a 1 day forever. And I
Mhm.
and I saw that, I saw one of the organizers in Canada there, and at the beginning he said they would do a 2 day, but they felt like the drop off was so much. But for us, when we did ours, we had a great attendance. I think even the first year, and again, that was when I was brand new in the WordPress space, didn't know as many people. We had almost 300. So, like Alex, you were mentioning your events down there. So I think we would probably be between 300 to 500 if we get the word out. Um, and again, if they let us know and let us get going. Um, and it's generally been like 3 days of speakers. So at our previous events, we've had 3 tracks. So um,
Wow.
yeah, so I think it was a total of, yeah, 18 speakers, 18 to 21 speakers. Um, we had 1 year, and each year we had a different theme. And I was going to talk about that later in the show and tell part of this. Each year, I've tried to do focused on a theme. So the first year was sort of WooCommerce, general WordPress stuff. Um, the second year, we did like it was right in the lead up to WordPress Accessibility Day. We did like the first WordCamp where we had an entire track. You know, like most WordCamps may have one or two accessibility talks. We had an entire track of speakers. So all of the days it had accessibility people speaking every hour. Um, so
Wow.
we have a full slate of speakers. The event, what's cool about WordCamps is that they try to keep the cost down. So the first year,
Yeah.
I think it was 25. I think US was 50 last year. So I think it could vary between 25 and 50. Alex, what would you guys do in South America for yours in terms of emission? Do you remember?
Repeat the question, please.
Yeah, how much did your event cost, your WordCamps? Like
Oh,
Nicaragua or San Jose? Like,
well, it depends of the country. For example, Nicaragua is cheaper than Costa Rica, and Nicaragua cost the last one was around for 15,000.
and
And
what's the translation into US dollars or that?
no, yeah, $15,000.
Oh no,
No.
no, no, for an attendee to go. Like someone, yeah,
Yeah, you mean okay, the cost of the ticket.
yeah.
Yeah, it was maybe yes, $25
Okay.
per person.
Yeah,
In the case of Costa Rica, was $30 per
yeah,
person.
yeah,
In the case of Guatemala, was $10
yeah.
because they save a lot of money in the venue because the venue
It's free.
grant them a lot of things, so like the displays, bring food, something things like that. So
Yeah,
they
yeah.
sell.
Yeah, so Adrian, so it generally costs between 25 and 50. Like I said, the flagships seem to be charging more. But I think when we had it, ours were always 25 bucks. But again, that was 3 years ago. So yeah, so we had 3 days of speakers. Um, there's generally lunch food provided. So there's a lunch every day. There's snacks, morning and afternoon snacks, and then they have a speakers dinner, a speaker sponsor thank you dinner at the beginning, and then they have a after party at the end. So those are all the things that sort of happen. Um, we've had keynote speakers. So when we did uh, our the theme when we had accessibility, Joe Dolson was our keynote. So I'm thinking like this year we'll probably have a keynote. Um, yeah, so that's sort of how it is. There's generally a mentor that's assigned from the WordPress Foundation that works with us on the budget, finding sponsors, making sure we're on track. And I've done it, I've done it at all the different levels, so I could technically be our mentor. So there's usually assistance along the way. We try to get volunteers. So it works very similar to yours. There's a call for volunteers, there's a call for speakers, there's a call for sponsors. Um, if the event is big enough, sometimes they do a call from, like media partners. They try to get people in to cover the event kind of thing. We did a call for photographers, like we had a photographer that did it. Part of our volunteer team was they handled the filming of the event. So it's very similar to what you do, but it's just not just the online version, but just an in-person portion. So let me click on this link and I'll show you, Adrian, and I apologize, guys. You saw it last time. This is the venue. So, um, so
Nice.
ignore, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So ignore I don't want to try to turn it up.
that's okay.
So the cool thing is that they have a number of different setups for the room. So if we wanted, if we needed bigger event spaces, the rooms are different prices based on the capacity. They have a cool outdoor space, which you saw. It's right
Oh,
off
I've been
it,
to this.
oh, it's
I
right off the
went,
five freeway. Yeah, yeah. So
yeah,
awesome.
I attended a an education conference here.
Okay. And so this could be the hallway track, the help center, or we can
Yeah.
have it in a larger room. Like in Canada, they had it. Well, it's sort of hanging right now. I'll show you the space that was very similar to what they did in Canada. They had a large space of 3 rooms, and they just walled them off for the events, and then they opened it up when they had everybody in at one time. So. Yeah, and they have 3 levels. Last time we just used the bottom level, and then we had 2 of the tracks upstairs, and then they had a large um, conference area downstairs, which we saw. My kids may be on the gaming, but so yeah. So since you've been here already, it's a cool venue.
Yeah.
And
It was a long time ago, but
yeah.
it
And
was
when
probably 10 years ago.
the only thing that changed, or that has changed, is that they don't do food anymore. So we'd have to, bring food trucks or something like that. So, and
They
so that,
seriously, the university doesn't have food services?
not the university center. No, they closed it. Like it was, well, if the video, let me see if I can get it to start again.
There's no cafeteria on the campus?
Well, the university center is separate from the College of the Canyons campus, like you see down in the valley here. That's the other part of the campus, but the university center is separate. And so this
Right, but I
is,
mean,
yeah,
that's what I was asking you. Like, we
yeah,
had separate stuff at Cal State, and if you contracted with like the food services, there's a director of the cafeteria, right? There's like a dean of that. It's like, you
yeah,
know,
and that's what they had before here at this, but that's closed. Like over here on the right is where the cafeteria is. But now it's closed. So they don't do it out of this facility. The
no,
food
but
was,
they could bring
I know
it.
what you're,
They could bring it to you.
I know, but what I was gonna say is that it was good, but it wasn't great. So I would
Oh, I see
say,
what you mean. So
yeah.
screw that.
So we may
Right.
want to, we'll consider that one but Alex mentioned there's always budget constraints. So if we have to go with the university center, we'll do it. And plus, you want to make sure that you have food for all people, people that have different dietary needs, that kind of thing. So whatever offers us the best opportunity to meet all of our needs for our attendees, that's what we're going to do. So yeah, so this is the main entrance area where in the previous event, this is where our sponsors and things were. This was where everyone ate lunch. Um, and again, since it's a great time of the year because it's not too hot yet, it's a great venue for indoor outdoor stuff. Out front of the venue, there's also space. We use this as our main uh, session area. So the bigger speakers spoke in here, and this had the biggest capacity. I think the other rooms are up to 50. Um, and they all have technology. So if you wanted to bring your laptop, we could get a room that had screens, but and this is the room I was talking about, how in Canada they had something similar where they could split it into three, if we needed to use it or have it as a help area. So again, all of the rooms have different costs, so we would work on a budget based on what we felt our needs were. And they have different layouts. So depending on how we would want to lay out the rooms, we could do that as well.
I got a guy that could probably. I mean, if we were thinking tacos and that kind of stuff like Mexican,
Yeah.
I got a guy that Big Joe Catering. I mean, he's out here, but he's my guy, so I could have him shoot out there, and I could probably get that
Yeah.
donated.
That's what, and that's why, I know you mentioned that last time, Steve, about working with the college, but do you remember how Orange County did it when they had the food trucks? That was really cool. I was like, so we could probably get a nice, interesting food thing.
Well, my guy,
Maybe,
like, he goes all
yeah,
around,
yeah,
like cooking shit everywhere, and all the the car meats and all that
yeah.
stuff, and they love him, right?
Our neighbor did that too, and that was a really cool, yeah, a cool thing to have people show up and make the tacos on the spot. So yeah, so again, this is the venue that we're gonna work with and once we get going here. So, and what I'll do also, I'll share the different rooms and the different types of setups. But again, and so again, this is the walkway to the second floor. So it's all really connected. It's great in terms of accessibility. They have elevators, ramps everywhere. The doors are great in terms of getting into the venue. So you can see there's ramps everywhere. It's easy access. So it's good from that standpoint also. All right. Any questions or comments on what we've seen or?
Joe, I just was looking at in the work and status page
Mhm.
that it said that the status is needs orientation interview. Normally that happens when somebody of the community wranglers doesn't send the email for schedule the orientation interview. So maybe maybe you can ping somebody to move that forward because
Okay. Also, you see that in Make in is that in the training team?
yeah, yeah, but
Because
okay.
like I said, I sent a message today, so hopefully that's why that kicked off that message. But yeah, I haven't heard back. But I figured, they're
Mhm.
probably busy with all the events that were overseas and in South America. But hopefully I'll hear back and
Mm.
I'll ping somebody else in the channel also.
Yeah,
Um,
also you can ping to Juan Hernando. He's one of
okay,
the wranglers,
okay,
but he will maybe he has more information about that because I it happens with others even I participated that they have the delay sending the scheduling email. So maybe that is happening. It's
okay.
end of the year
Yeah,
and
because
everybody is.
and I saw and I'm sorry to interrupt. I saw in when the bot mentioned that WordCamp Santa Clarita application was received, it said six others are in the queue. So I figured they were overwhelmed. But yeah, I just didn't know what the next step is. But I'll definitely follow up and take it from there. And then the final bullet is we generally have a get together. Well, we had last year here in Santa Clarita. It's like a Yuletide hangout. And if you guys are in the area, you're welcome to come. We have it it's right in the city center at a restaurant that's nice that's right there. And if folks are going to come to that from this group, I could also connect with the university center and say, hey, after our hangout, can we come and take a look around so we can get a preview that at that time too. So if anyone's coming, I hope to have actually tonight. I'm going to talk to them about hosting it again. Um, Once I have that, I'll put the event up on the meetup, and it's open to anyone. But for our group, we can go over to the university. It's just around the corner. So if anyone's interested, if you're here, we'll just go over. But if not, we'll schedule something later so we can all walk around and get any questions answered. All right. In terms of this month meeting, um, and again, it goes back to the quick craziness of my style. One of our organizers used to say I clone myself because I was always um, I was handling a lot of things at once, but it was just part of how I tried to move things along. With a smaller team, like I said, we do a little bit more, but I have a strategy to doing it, which sort of like, for instance, there's things in the milestones, which I'll show in a second, that have to happen at a certain time. But there are other things that you could do ahead of time. So I do a lot of those things in advance. So again, it goes back to what you were saying, Alex. What the foundation usually wants is for us to make sure that we have enough sponsors to pay for everything and at least break even. So I feel like, chasing the sponsor dollars is probably one of the bigger things that we have to do. The other thing is making sure that we have enough attendees, enough volunteers, that kind of thing. So those are critical things. So other things like the brand of the event, how things are going to look, all that kind of stuff. I think about a lot of that stuff, and that stuff is in place by the time we get going. So, so that's part of how I offset any other delays. So the delays that I've had with the foundation so far, I've been thinking about other things. Like I've already gone to the venue. I do things in advance because I've done it so many times. Um, we're going to talk a little bit about, and I'm going to need to grab a water. I have a little bit of a scratchy throat here. We're going to talk about the theme that we come up with for the event. What I normally do, and again, like local events that, not like the flagships like US, they do base it on the city that they're hosted in but a lot of times the local ones, um, and what I try to do in Santa Crita is base it on something that's local to this area to sort of brand it based on the Santa Clarita Valley. So I'll talk about what we've done in the past. I'll show you some of the visuals we've come up with, and then I'll talk about the theme that I'm thinking about for this year and run it by you folks for your input. Um, and then the way I try to choose a theme for our event, again, it's Santa Clarita based. Since it's here in Santa Clarita, I try to pick something that this area is known for. Um, this has served me well in another um, way. Like I'm an artist in another life, so I like to draw and things like that. So I've created a lot of Wapoos for these events. So when I think of those, I usually look up the Wikipedia page. I talk with the local um, event planners about it, and so I get ideas on how to create some of these Wapus. So again, I use that same approach. It's sort of like when the Olympics goes from city to city. It's based on the local characteristic of that city. So I'll talk a little bit about that. Also, and this is why I'd love to hear from you folks, like what inspired you or what have you liked about other events that you've either been involved with or that you've attended, and maybe we can sort of fold those into what we do as well. For instance, I really liked how, like in Canada, it was they had their volunteers were super friendly. Like everywhere you were, they were just coming up and talking to you. Like although that may be off-putting to some people, I found that as a speaker, that was very it sort of lessened my nervousness kind of thing. So little things like that help me, or like how the speakers are treated. I feel like in all the events I organize, the sponsors, like especially at the flagship level, I sort of feel like some of the organizers or organizers that have been around a while, they feel like the sponsor should be lucky to be able to pay WordPress, but which that's not how I look at it. Like every dollar that we get from a sponsor is valued, and I value our sponsors as well. So, so again, we'll talk a little bit about that. All right. So this is the planning list, and I showed this last time. Like there's a milestone, and this goes to Adrian, one of your questions. They have a series of planning checklists that's inside the admin. There's a special CMS that's built just for WordCamps. So they spin up the event, there's a speakers, custom post type, sponsors. So you manage the whole event inside of the WordCamp site. And then there's also a planning checklist, which has milestones for the event. And these should happen at certain points in the 6 month event cycle. So a general WordCamp happens in the 6 month period. The flagships, they try to give it a year worth of planning because it's, I think Asia, they're thinking it's going to be the biggest one ever. So that means like 5,000 people. So, you need months to plan something like that. So again, we talked a little bit about this last time, but once we're approved and up and running and we have the site running, you'll be able to get in and see all of these different areas. So if you're working on volunteers, there's a tab for volunteers. There's a way you set up your tickets and you create the price and all that kind of stuff. So that's something that we'll come back to later. But again, it's to really help you as an organizing team stay on track and take care of certain things that make the event possible. So for example, you see there's a venue walkthrough. We sort of done that already, but we should do it as a team. And then these other things happen along the way too. All right. So let me jump out. And and these are some of the idea panels and some of the uh photo sheet Google Photo albums that I used in the past for inspiration, some different ideas and things like that, just to give you a history of what we've done in the past. All right. So Santa Clarita Valley is known for a few things, but one of the things is Westerns. A lot of the Westerns that the world came to know, a lot of them were shot in the Santa Clarita Valley, like John Wayne. William S. Hart was one of the first movie stars, and there's a museum here in Santa Clarita. So I figured the first event, it would be cool to have a Western theme. So this is sort of my mood board for it. And this is like William S. Hart in a couple movies, a lot of old movie posters, some ideas for type. So again, it was based on something that was in the valley that people that are local could connect with. Again, part of finding sponsors also, it's not just WordPress sponsors, but it's cool to get local sponsors involved. So again, part of what I was trying to do with the visual, like we have a cowboy festival every year in the Santa Clarita Valley. So the whole Western thing is a big deal out here in Santa Clarita. So then I looked back at that time at a lot of the different WordCamps in terms of the visuals, things that they did. Like I'm always on the lookout for great graphics because I was a designer in another life. So I tried to get ideas and inspiration from that stuff. So again, our first event was based on the Westerns here in Santa Clarita. And this was one of my first mood boards. All right. Um, Again, this is some more things for the visuals. So for instance, our landing page had this graphic here. Again, this is William S. Hart. We had the Western type for the fonts. and the logos for the event. And I'll see if I have my um, out in the Antelope Valley, which is right here in a connecting valley, is poppies bloom every spring. So it's a big deal, like here in the Antelope Valley up the five, a little bit north. That's part of it. So I was trying to get ideas and inspiration from anything that's local. We have a train station that we have a Metrolink station, a couple stations that are out here that are transit. But back in the day, the Newhall station was how, I think a president actually when he came to California, he stopped at the Newhall station on his train. So there's some history there too. So I try to look at a lot of those things for inspiration. Mhm. All right. The second year, there's also a racetrack here in Santa Clarita. So um, I tried to get inspiration based on like racing posters, a lot of different things. These are some things from our actual Saga Speedway. So again, the second year theme. And one of the other cool things, and one of the things I mean, it's cool in my opinion, but I try to come up with different ideas for speaker gifts and things like that. So this year, um, in 2020, it was a racing theme, and my mom is a great knitter, so she made these for the speakers. These were racing themed scarves that we gave as sponsor gifts. So I'm always looking for things like that. Not the typical. I mean, we did do the t-shirts and stuff like that, but like for instance, the speakers gifts, like for instance, Long Beach, they gave us soap. Handmade soap, which was cool. So again, just be thinking about stuff like that. There's usually a small number of speakers. So in addition to the typical, business um, tchotchkes that you get, I'm always looking for something unique to give to them, and it's sort of, I try to do something that's heartfelt. So again, it tied into the racing theme, and again, these are pictures from the Saga Speedway, which is here in Santa Cruz. So again, that inspired the look and feel of the event. So again, I always try to do that kind of thing for every event we had. For instance, Fireball 500 was filmed here in Santa Cruz. That was in that Funicello and those folks from the '60s movies. So again, I tried to incorporate that into our look. And then Speed Racer was a cartoon from the '60s and '70s. So again, all this stuff inspired the look and feel of the event that year. These were some sketches from what I was, or how I came up with, like we did sticker sheets and Wapuu, all that kind of stuff. Um, then our third year, Santa Cruz is also known for a world famous amusement park, Six Flag Magic Mountain. So I went back and found a lot of vintage posters and things like that. So on our homepage, I did an illustration of all the meetups in the area based on like a amusement park map. So again, I tried to um, tie it into things that are like this was um, a mascot that was for the early days of the park, but it sort of looked like a Wapuu. So I did a Wapuu that was sort of based on this Six Flags mascot. So again, that ties into the local area. So again, it's something that ties to Santa Clarita, but also it's something that you could build a brand based on. Um, so again, these were like, in the early days, the Six Flags was sponsored by McDonald's. So it was all these weird illustrations from the 60s and 70s that inspired a lot of what I did that year. So yeah, so this is the Wapuu that I came up with, which oops, sort of looks like oops. Yeah, so it was sort of based on the park. So again, that was part of the brand. And again, a lot of this stuff I came up with as I was waiting on different approvals and different budgets to be approved. So again, a lot of the um, a lot of the things that are neglected in events, like getting the message out, communicating, things like that. I try to take care of that, and we could focus on finding the hotels, getting the that kind of stuff, the harder stuff. Um, this was the branding from the first year, so again, it had the Western feel. Um, all right, so with that in mind, um, there's this year I was thinking of something else that this area is known for. How many folks have watched Star Trek, the original series?
Yeah.
There's and for Alex, you've probably never been to Santa Clarita, but there's parts of the Santa Clarita Valley and the Antelope Valley that looks like they're from another planet. There's rock formations and things like that at Vasquez Rocks. So Star Trek, quite a few episodes were filmed out here in the 60s and 70s. There's a famous episode where he fights Gorn. I don't know if you've seen that. It's a weird lizard-like creature that Captain Kirk fought. That's famous kind of thing. So I figured this year, and also in the neighboring valley to the north, a lot of aerospace was there. Southern California was aerospace in the 70s or 80s when I came here. JPL is here, so I figured we'd focus on space, and especially like in WordPress. Right now, it's a critical time in WordPress in terms of where are we going to go as a open source project. So I was thinking of those things as possible themes, and this is my first. These are some things that inspired me. So again, these are just visuals from the Star Trek series. Like the 60s show had really vivid colors, different palettes that were very cool. This weird this weird space suit from the original series.
I
Um,
love the glitter on it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I was like, I don't know if that's gonna keep out deep space when you're floating in space, but it looks cool. So, and these were some other event. So I went through also and looked at Wapuus that were based on space for possible ideas also. Um, so yeah, so these are from other events. This is Captain Kirk and Spock in their in their space suits. And it's funny because if you think of how the spacesuits have evolved naturally, they don't really look like this at all. But back in the 60s, they were trying to visualize something that didn't exist. Um, and so I looked at all the different things, like the different devices that they had. Star Trek influenced how tablets look, how our phones look. Back in the 60s, a lot of the designs that they did. So this is Gorn from that episode at Vasquez Rocks. It was sort of this creature that he and Kirk they were um, beamed down to this planet by this otherworldly force, and they had to try to kill each other. And so um, the whole drama ended where Kirk refused to kill the guy, and then the God came down and said, "I didn't think humans had it in them to show compassion," and then that was the end of the thing. So, but again, this was a famous episode. A lot of people think like, and again, this is sort of visuals that could appear in the look and feel of the event. Like this Star Trek had a look and feel that was very unique for its time, and it still sort of that retro tech look is important. Again, I looked at like this was from one of the current Star Trek episodes of Gorn. You can't really see it, and this is from a cartoon from the 70s. So I've looked all over for this kind of stuff. This is a Marvel show that's coming out called Wonder Man, and they shot it at Vasquez Rocks. Again, it's a throwback to a space. It looks like a space climate um, for look and feel. And again, that's the famous peaks at Vasquez. And this is just a picture of the valley. This is from our previous event. Let me see what else I have in here. So yeah, so that was just some initial inspiration. Um, and then again, this is some more in terms of spacesuits and things like that, because that sort of inspired what I think the Wapuu should look like. So I looked at some spacesuits, some of the uniforms. So again, this could impact like what color shirts we'll wear, all that kind of silly stuff. So it may not, but again, this is what I was sort of thinking about in terms of a theme. Another thing that the theme could influence is like most times at a WordCamp, the tracks have names. So in Canada, they were based on parts of the campus. In the past, like when we had um, the one that was based on an amusement park, it was rides from an amusement park were the names of the tracks. And then the year when we had um, the first year, it was locations around Santa Clarita. So Vasquez Rocks was one of the rooms. So again, we'll have to think, in terms of Star Trek, what do we want our tracks to be named, kind of thing. So um, again, these are just some visuals, spacesuits, interesting graphics, letter forms. So again, I go through all. Again, this is like I don't know. This it's just why I'm sort of over the top on this stuff. Again, this is a picture I took at Vasquez Rocks one time. So again, just look and feel stuff for the event. Then there's like some logos of how the letters looked. So what I've done also, I've also sketched out this font so that we have it digitally, so we can use it if we wanted to do that. Um, Again, just how the ships looked, the type fonts, all that kind of stuff. I've done research on it. So again, for something in Santa Clarita tied to our area, so we could do something based on that. So again, that's sort of what I've been up to in terms of the visual. Any questions or comments, or Joe, this is stupid, or any initial thoughts?
I'll
Any
have
idea
an
what the cost is
excuse
going to
to,
be?
oh,
Oh,
sorry, go ahead.
everyone said it at the same time. I couldn't hear.
No, go ahead, Steve.
Anybody know what the cost is going to be? Like how much they're going to charge us?
Well, well, like Alex was saying, and it's similar to, I looked at an old budget. I think it's going to be 15,000 is probably going to be the total budget.
No, for the university. Like the
Oh, it's in there. It's per room per day. So there's a brochure that has it. And I could share it with the group.
and is it the most budget and I mean there's like a bunch of places to meet in Santa Clarita.
Well, but what you need to, I think the thing that we have to balance also is that if we're going to have 300 to 500 people, we need something big enough to host them. In the past, I've reached out like across the road is Cal Arts, which is sort of a famous art school here. They their price was like 3 times more expensive than the University Center. There's a couple of party event spaces that we technically could have it at. There's also, but again, they don't have the classroom set up. So again, ideally, it's a university or a school would be great. Um, and the cool thing about, and I think you mentioned it, Alex, I know last year when I spoke at WordCamp San Jose, they had a setup I think they went to a new location this year, but the university they were at, they comped them the venue. So if a venue comped us the space, then that would put us ahead kind of thing. So unfortunately, I have not found a venue to do that.
Well,
So,
sometimes like if you rent it, for instance, if you had it at like a Hilton or something, sometimes there's
oh, and
rooms that you could.
I checked our local Hilton, and what I'll do it again. Um, I'll share the information. I'll reach out to them again. There's a golf course here. I checked with them about their venue. So last time I think I looked at 5 different. So I looked at a golf course. I looked at Cal Arts. I looked at the Hyatt that's right here in the city center. Um, and then we have like a Wolf Creek Activity Center, which is more like it's for having receptions and large parties. So University Center was the cheapest. Like actually for our meetups. I want to do an in person at the University Center because they charge by the hour, and it's a rate just for the room. The other cost is we need to have somebody clean up, so there needs to be a custodial staff there over the weekend. Then they said the security's included. There's always somebody patrolling the campus, so it's really mainly the rental of the rooms, um, the custodial services, and then the food is those are the main costs. So what I'll do, Steve, is I'll share that with you. I know you've mentioned about venue stuff, so we could work together on that. I'll get all that information to you, so we could check again because I know we have a PGA level golf club here,
Yeah, I
and
was just looking at that too.
I checked with them previously, um, and again it was too much, but I could follow up again. Maybe it's changed because of the pandemic. Maybe people are a little harder up for cash, and maybe we'll get a better deal. But
I
yeah.
will actually tell you, for the organizations that I've worked with that used to have live events before the pandemic, um, at least in LA, Orange County, and San Diego, because that's where they were, and a little bit in the Inland Empire. But after the pandemic, prices went sky high
Yeah.
at conference centers and hotels, and even like for smaller meetings, like sometimes restaurants will have kind of a meeting room,
Yeah.
and that prices just went sky high,
Yeah.
like 3 times what they had been in, say, 2019.
Yeah. So Steve, we can work offline in between the next one and we could look at those again. The other place, and it's just me being weird again. Like I found the University Center this way. I used to drive by University Center every day going to work to the train station, and I just went in there one day and asked. There's a building on the way to where my son works around. It's like a mile away. It's for a credit union, but for a technology company, and it's a brand new building. And I wonder if they have like a large auditorium. Like at Metro, we had an auditorium for our board members to meet. So it would be great to do it at Metro. But that would be in Los Angeles. But if this place has similar facilities, I can walk in and check out and see if they could do something. And in that case, maybe they'll comp it to us or something also. So that's another possibility. But again, back then those places were too more expensive than the University Center. But we can check and see if anything's changed.
I'm sure. I mean, I'm sure they are. I just wondered what the University Center was. I mean, was it $1,000? Is
Yeah,
it
yeah.
2,000? That's all.
Yeah, and let me see. Let me pull it up right now and put it in the chat. Like they have a, and actually at on that university, I think I mentioned they're trying to become a 4-year university, so they have a really beautiful performing arts center, which I think would be awesome too. Because most word camps have like a large auditorium where they put the letters on stage and they do the big group photos. Like that space would be great, but I don't think they have the classrooms there. So it's just a matter of finding the space. But let me. Um, are there any other? Go ahead and speak while I try to pull it up in chat if you need to about anything else. Or like what, and Neville, I know you were a first timer at WordCamp US. What did you like most, or what would you like to see at a WordCamp while I'm doing the search here?
No, I thought it was a balanced venue, spacious, and certainly a lot of different tracks, for different levels of interest or different specialties of interest, and certainly, as you say, the food venue was just superb quality and it was very inexpensive. It seemed to me, I don't know how they were able to get that quality of food for that many people. But for the lunch, I think it was in a single day. I think it was the second day.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a good a feeling. It was a good feeling overall for everyone that was there. And I know that's the same sort of um, experience that we want to present and be able to be marketing in the promotional materials before the event.
Yeah, and I know from the first to the third, like I said, I began to get to know a lot of people in the community. So the second and third event, I sold most of our sponsor slots really fast, and like part of the reason, like at US, part of the reason I was there, I was talking to some of the sponsors to tell them, hey, we're going to do something in Santa Clarita kind of thing, or even
Oh,
in Canada.
wow.
So part of the thing is to try to get as many of those sponsors on board as possible. Like I remember I introduced myself to the guy from Kinsta at Montclair. So again, it's just a matter of getting those folks to as many of those sponsors that we have on board. That'll help offset some of the cost because again,
Yes.
the venue is usually a lot, but again, for University Center, they're just charging for the rooms. But for 8 hours a day, or what it's probably going to be 10 hours a day times whatever, the hourly rate is. So again, in the chat, I had the brochures there so you can open it up and see what the current cost for that is. And then the other big cost again is probably the food.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
any other questions
So
or
here's
comments?
the deal, Joe. How many people are you talking about thinking about coming?
Well, like I said, if it's based on the previous event, we could probably get between 300 and 500. I would say it's probably closer to 300 to 400.
Okay, so the USEN meeting room capacity on the second floor is 150 people.
But the one thing to think of is that each track is probably it's like a classroom. So what we did in the past was we had the lower level auditorium, and that was where one, and I think that's up to 65 people. And then
Yeah, I was just thinking you said a keynote.
right, but
If you're
that's when we did it virtually.
Okay, okay,
But
yeah.
if we do it this year, we would probably have to get a bigger room. So yeah, so that would be yeah, that would be part of it. But again, it's based on what we want to do as a team. If we have a keynote, we should probably get a bigger room. So yeah.
Also, you
Or if we don't, like, I mean, we could probably, again, if we sell enough, the speakers program is something that'll happen along, we really have to let people know probably a month and a half to 2 months, especially if they need to get visas and things like that. So that's in the later 2 months of the planning cycle. But again, we'll know how much we've gotten as sponsors, all that kind of stuff. So it kind of goes hand in hand. If we get enough budget, we could probably go for a bigger space. Um, I know, like, for instance, the opening remarks at US, they had it in one of those big rooms, but in Santa Clarita, we just did it in that open space where everyone was at in the bottom.
Yeah, yeah, I was
So,
about to say that you'll need a space for the sponsors
yeah.
area. Yeah, I don't know if the center will charge for that or because
Yeah.
it
So, so
need to
the,
be
the,
open.
the main entrance area is where the sponsors were in the past. Like they clear out like if you go in there now, there's like a guard desk and lounging chairs. So they remove all that stuff. And we had the sponsors along the sides. So people walk straight in. They walk through the sponsors. I was thinking we could even move the sponsors back further in that same space, but that's a big open space. But again, we could use one of the other floors if we wanted to do a bigger keynote. But again, this is the first year back, so we might not want to go, do some extravagant stuff expecting the larger numbers. We could just get a good grip on what we have and expect like the 300 to 350 um, number. Did that answer, Steve? Or
Yeah, I'm really worried. I put the page in there in the chat. I'm just really worried that we don't have a big enough room because even the lobby is only 150.
but I was gonna say that the thing with this though, I mean, you really need that big space if we're doing like a group picture, which we didn't do last time. Um, People at a conference, they're not going to all be in one space unless we do like the big um, opening remarks. And again, during the work camp, everybody's not there at the same time. People are coming and going, so um, it wasn't an issue last time. Again, but I can,
But you had that many people? Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And like I said, um, the sponsors were in the downstairs there, so probably it was probably a third of the audience was there, and then people were upstairs. Some people were sitting in the hall. Like there was never really an opportunity other than like lunch, and then lunch people left. Some people went outside, so it was never a requirement that all 600, 500 people or 300 people were in the same place at the same time. Um,
Sweet.
yeah. So, but we can
So I mean,
go ahead. Go ahead.
you're talking like if we do it 3 days, right? So you're talking 30 hours, right?
Right.
Shit, man. Just the lobby. Oh, man, 15 times. It's gonna be like $6,000 for just the lobby.
Yeah.
That's expensive, man. Wow. We got to
It'll
get
be.
them to give us a deal.
We'll see. It
We
should
do,
be
man.
like, but like I said, we did this before, and it should be fine. It's just a matter of us getting the sponsors to pay, the sponsors to pay. And already, like for instance, we've always had a relationship with Green Geeks. They were our first sponsor for the first one, and so she's already told me they're in. And like I said, and we had GoDaddy, we had all the big ones. Like I don't think we had Bluehost last time. I know Bluehost a lot better now, so I think we'll be fine. But again,
Hosting.com.
this is part of this will be part of the budget process. Like generally the budget person, like we'll come up with a budget, we'll put in all of our initial costs. They usually give you a certain amount for the t-shirt. So for instance, and it was a really low number. I think it was like $7 a shirt. So that dictates how many shirts you
I
can
can help you with that.
yeah. Oh, well, actually, my brother's a printer, so I got a good deal.
Oh,
So it's
sweet.
like
Okay, good.
so it's like there's I know places where I can cut costs kind of thing.
Yeah.
So So yes, but that's where, we'll all work together. Like you said, you have connections in terms of finding good hotel rooms and stuff. So we'll all have to, whatever you feel like you have um, a strong preference to do, or the ability to do some awesome things. I'm totally willing to let you run with it. So yeah, so that's part of the whole process. So
We're gonna
that,
have shuttles to the airport.
no, I don't know. I was gonna say we didn't in the past.
Well,
Um,
I ran a conference out here one time,
uh-huh.
and those bikers, and it was, it's far away, right? These guys came from all over the place, so a
Hmm.
lot of them flew, and I was able to rent, cargo like large passenger vans, like 16 passenger vans, and I
Hmm.
was able to get three of them, really good deal. Got Nextel mics for all the drivers, like walkie-talkie, push to talk, and so we could figure out where everybody was, and we ran transportation for the whole crew to and from the hotels, to and from the places to eat, to and from the venue, all that stuff. And
Oh, that's
I
awesome.
mean, yeah, and I don't know. I'll find out what it would cost to do that, and I mean, maybe I'll donate it. I don't know.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I was gonna say, I think in sort of when I'm at a work camp, people usually pull together and get in the Uber together. I haven't seen one where they have a shuttle, although they, like I think at US, when it was in National Harbor, they had a shuttle that took you to the after party kind of thing. I mean, that may be something we want to consider, because the after party was on the other side of town kind of thing. So we might want to do a shuttle to that. But yeah, but
Well, I
definitely
mean,
it's
like
stuff to look
the
at.
parties we went to at WordCamp. I mean,
Yeah.
Chargel didn't drive me to the hosting part. You came to that one. We all went to that hosting
Yeah.
party, right? Like
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
hosting.com or whatever that
Yeah.
was, at the restaurant where the fresh food was. I mean, dude, you had to take a damn cab, or you had to know somebody that could drive you to get there, right? And then the Elementor party, again, that was like by the bad safe way, or bad whatever Dave said. This is the bad side of town. And if you say the bad safe way, then everybody knows where you're at. And you had to know it wasn't that far, but you had to know how to get there,
Yeah.
or have someone to drive you there. I mean, Portland School, they got a lot of trains and stuff, but if you're not on the train, and then what stopped you get off the walk? I mean, we went for pizza. I mean, we didn't take the Uber,
Yeah. Yeah,
you
I
know?
know. But yeah, so I do think like to the after party that could be a consideration. But I think for that'll probably be a big budget thing. Oh, and I saw um in the chat Adrian had something. At US, that was one of the things like I've spoken about, and I think I at WordPress Success, really I talked about making all events accessible. That's one thing that was suggested by one of the colleagues in the Make channel that was has neurodivergent issues. He was saying it's always a good idea to stream it into rooms so that people, if they don't want to be in a big setting, to do that. So that's something I would definitely like to do. Yeah, yeah.
So can I ask, like, when you're talking about costs, based on whatever the last time is that you had one that was, excuse me, in person, do you have that old budget that you can then work from to update, whatever 15% more, whatever you think it would be? And do you also have your sponsor packages from before that you can update to say, this is, the platinum member, the gold member, what those costs are associated so that you can start figuring out like, hey, what can we realistically afford? Or do we need to up the level or get, add three more bronze level or, those kinds of things? Because that's what we've done again for WordPress Accessibility Day. It was sort of that match, and we had somebody who was
Awesome.
really awesome at the sponsorship thing, which is not my forte.
Okay. Well, that's a great idea. And in the past, what I'll do too is there's what I've been sharing, like where the slides are
Mhm.
is the WordPress Santa Clarita Valley Meetup Gmail. So all
Right.
of the old documents from the other events are in there, including the sponsor stuff, as well as like I've done communications for the communications role for US a couple of times. And so all of the
Okay.
tweets, like I usually have like
You
a
got it all.
yeah, I have a lot of stuff that we could just recycle. So again, like the sponsor stuff. In one of the photo packages, I did sort of a handout that I took with me to WordCamp US and handed out to sponsors. Let me see if I can find it and show you. So yeah, so I have a lot of that stuff that we can reuse. Hold on, if I can find it.
Well, that's sweet, dude.
Yeah, and again, that goes back to, and I mean, I'm not trying to, definitely not trying to tell everyone how to do their whatever your job is in this, like however you want to take it and go. But
No, you got
these are
experience,
just
bro.
ways to help us get ahead. Because
Oh no,
again, a
we should
smaller
use
team, you have
all
to
the
have a
tools
lot of
we
that
got.
stuff in play. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So that's the only like it's there, and I try to save them so that
Do
if
do
someone
not
comes behind me, they
reinvent the
can use it.
wheel.
Yeah.
Just
So um
do a retread.
yeah. So and I
Just
still never got the water. But go ahead, Steve. I'm sorry.
just an
No, bro,
idea.
you
Uh,
go get your water, and I think you got.
yeah.
I mean, I think your experience level speaks for itself, man. I mean, whatever you say, brother. I mean, down. Whatever you
Yeah.
like. This
Because
is where we're
again,
having it. This is how many hours. I mean,
yeah, and
we
I
got
think
the
that
money. Let's
And I
go.
think and I think the main thing, and Alex, you could probably chime in on this, is they're really worried about getting the sponsorship dollars to pay for it. So that's one thing that weighs on a lot of the event organizers, and that's really unfair, but they really want to try to get as much sponsored dollars in so that they don't want they want your event to at least break even. So that's one
Yeah.
thing that we have
Yeah,
to look at.
that's one of the main
I'm gonna go
strategies
get
in
water.
the WordCamp organization, because you will need a lot of resources.
Yeah.
And what's there's a couple of ideas maybe I have seen in some WordCamps.
Hmm.
Like right now, WordCamp Central is releasing a um advertising budget for you can use I don't know, I think it's $400, something like
Ooh,
that,
okay.
for advertising. You can use it in social network, or I don't know. I think I don't know how are the
Oh,
prices
can you
there.
share that link with me?
Yeah, I will. I was looking for it, but I will ask for it
Yeah, and I think
to one of my pals. So
yeah, I was gonna start going to the community team meeting to find out about to find out about our application. So
yeah,
yeah, so any links you could share, you know.
yeah, I will search for that, and also an idea about the shuttle team that Steve was talking. You can also, well, it will depend about the skill of negotiation on the people that we work with, the sponsors. You can I have seen in other places like Spain that they do a deal with a transportation app like Uber, and they can get a discount with a tick with a yeah, like a coupon there they can use the single date of the workcamp.
That's
So
what at WordCamp US they gave us
yeah,
a transit pass.
yeah, but yeah, I have in, for example, in Madrid last year, they used that a coupon with all the transportation. I think
Ooh.
what's in train and bus. I think train and bus. So
LA
it was
Metro, man.
Oh,
Joe
I
get a
know.
discount. Go
But
yeah,
ride for free.
I know, but the thing I was gonna say, but unfortunately the thing is there's no metro out here. I'd have to work through Santa Clarita Transit. And actually I
yeah.
do have a connection. I could see if I can find that
No,
out.
bro. No, bro. Don't do that, man. They'll
Yeah.
be like,
Yeah.
what? You didn't work here, fool. They'll be like jamming you up, man. You don't want to
No,
do
but
that, man.
no, but actually, but a lot of times, and this goes back to how these events happen. Like I know when WordCamp Asia was in the Philippines, I think the Secretary of State had a welcome message, or when it was in Europe in North Scandinavia this year, like I think the ambassador. So a lot of times the government officials want to help. Like when we did WordCamp Santa Clarita, Metro sponsored because I asked them to. So I think a lot of times, I mean, that's a thing that makes them look good doing something for the community. So, it may be worth it, but I don't know if Santa Clarita is so small. I don't know if a bus runs from, like, for example, from the hotel to the university center. I know there's a transportation that goes from Cal Arts. They have their own transit system, but I don't think it comes, so I'll have to look into that. But that's a good idea, especially if we don't have to pay for it. So yeah,
That's what I'm talking
I'm
about.
still trying to look for, what I wanted to show you. But keep going. I'm sorry. And I don't want to hold you too much. If you have to go, that's fine. I just wanted to try to show you one other thing to see. And it was sort of one of the things I shared as part of my initial um, sponsor pitch.
How's that Residence Inn over there? Like sometimes you can get a good deal on Residence Inns, and they have sometimes nice little breakout areas and shit like that. I mean, I just wonder like what that would cost.
Okay, yeah, there's one near me on Newhall Ranch Road. I could definitely check for that.
Well, there's one right near where we're talking about meeting too. That's why it might be the same place you're talking about.
Yeah,
Um,
and plus with Magic Mountain, they have all of the chains that are right by it, you know. But
yeah,
again,
I know.
I
I've
would
been
say
looking.
those are probably not in the, you know, they probably high use.
Well,
Uh,
they don't have. They're probably not ready for a conference either. They're probably ready for,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
Uh,
Like they're probably ready for everything. But the Residence Inn, nice thing about that is it has breakfast in the morning, and it's a good breakfast. And you know, there's a Denny's, there's a Starbucks, there's a, it's right there on the old road, I guess.
yeah.
You know
I
where
Yeah,
that
just
is?
share
I
I
mean, I
just
think
shared
one of the
the
things that makes it so great is that it's all, I mean, it's a small city, but it's a big, you know, one of the fastest growing cities you know, areas in Los Angeles County. So it's got everything, and it's all pretty close by. So that's one of the good things. Like even I remember at WordCamp US in St. Louis, the venue was so huge, like someone in a wheelchair or needed to get around with assistive thing. It felt like I was walking a mile to go from one track to another track. So yeah, you know, the venue is very intimate. It's very small. It's all connected. And
That's
then
the
like I
cool thing
said,
about the youth end. It's all on the first, second, third floor. Like it's all
yeah,
right on top of each other. So you're
yeah,
not gonna have to go that far.
yeah. So I can't find the thing, and I'll share it. So next time we'll talk more about the budget.
What
I'll,
was it,
I'll
Joe? What were you looking for?
oh, just the one of the cards that like for instance, like I said, when I went to WordCamp US the year that we did the event, I went with these cards, and it was like imagine you here, and it was like a silhouette of, and I gave it to the sponsors, and it was like it was the sponsor
Oh,
area. So yeah,
very cool.
so
Very cool.
so it goes back to Adrian's point about like I had a whole bunch of things set to send, and and I just was looking through the email for WordCamp Santa Clarita at Gmail, and I had a whole um series of messaging. It was like, you know, we would love for you to contribute to the community, and I would send that to the different sponsors. So yeah, some of it was like blind, and you know, some of the folks didn't know me, but for the ones that did, a lot of people responded, and we got sponsors that way. So I'll pull out all those tricks so that we can get that money. So um, yeah. So again, as we go, I'll share all the stuff I have. I'll grant you all access to our email channels and stuff like that. We a lot of this stuff we did it. I think at US we did it in Slack. Um, and one year we did it in Trello. There was also like WordCamps. US has like a P2 instance, which is like the internal WordPress website thing. So depending on how we want to work together to communicate, we can, like I have a Slack for WordCamp Santa Clarita already. So I could just create a new this year's version and grant everybody access and create an organizer channel. So it just depends on how we want to work. So, so yeah, so next time we'll talk about the budget. I'll pull up the previous one. I'll show you like the proposed rooms that we used last time and that we can use again, how much it'll cost this year. And we'll do that stuff. Because again, as you know, most people when they put in the application, they aren't doing this stuff. So like I said, I know the clock is ticking. So you know, we need to be talking about this and thinking about it so that once it's time to move forward, we'll be ready to move forward.
Yeah,
Yep.
I took a quick look at Alex's handbook for budget and finances. That's tremendous detail.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, in that part, I share specifically thoughts about the advertising budget. But if you read the other parts of the document, you will see some budget guidelines, the current ones actually, because a few years ago, it wasn't allowed to use the budget for advertising.
Ooh,
You need it to be organic, but nowadays you can use some part of the budget specifically for advertising the event and things like I don't know, yeah, social media, maybe television, but
yeah,
I think
and I know in the
it's a few money
and I was gonna
for
say, and
television.
I'm sorry, I'm talking over you, Alex. I
No,
know
no, no. I'm sorry.
in the past, as a team, we would want a social media tool where you could batch messages and send them out, and those weren't free. So we would get money to get that tool for the duration of the event. So maybe that's what it could be used for, like Hootsuite or Agorapulse or one of those things that you could batch messages to all the social media channels. Because I've had, like, as a communications person, we've done that in the past where I would schedule all the messages in advance. And so the day of the event, it would send them all. So we could focus on, making sure all of our attendees are okay. So again, that was just another way to sort of save time. But again, those tools, they don't, WordPress is open source, so they don't really want to pay for tools. But in some instances, like for social media stuff, you do need one of the professional tools. So that's good to know. So I can't find it. So again, I'll share that next time. Um, so again, next time we'll talk more about how the budget works, what we had in the past, the types of sponsors we had. I'll also grant access at the next meeting so everybody could sort of look through the Gmail channel. I'll share the docs that we used previously for sponsoring. We'll look at like how the social media stuff worked and how some of those things that were saved. And then hopefully I'll have a better update about the event itself. And then in the meantime, Steve, I'll get the venues that we approached before, and we could sort of find out if the costs have gone up, which Adrian makes me think that it has, which gets me a little worried. But yeah, but we can look at and see if there's a better option than the University Center.
Well, I just looked up this WordCamp budget in that documentation that we just got, and the total expenses were $3,700 just for the, I mean, that,
That's
just
advertising
for the
stuff.
site, just for the putting it on, right? That was a 1 day thing. So 3 day thing, you're talking about, $12,000.
Yeah. So and how it works too on the back end is as we come up with the budget, um, we'll meet with I'll meet with the mentor and we'll go over that. But also there's opportunities for us as a team to meet with the vendors. I mean, to meet with
Oh
the
yeah, I mean,
to
we
meet with the
not. I'm
mentor.
not trying to naysay this stuff. I mean, fuck yeah, we'll get it done. I mean,
Yeah.
everything costs money. I'm just saying, wow. I mean, I know stuff's expensive, but really, like university, like, come on, man. Like, you're not going to be doing anything that day in that room,
It still
and
costs them, though. It's the insurance, it's the security, it's the lights,
we
it's
pay
the
for the
tech.
insurance.
No, they still have to have their insurance. Trust me.
Well, I mean, I was a professor. It never cost us anything to book that stuff, and we could book rooms like crazy, and it didn't cost us nothing. Now, of course, where we work at the university, and
Yeah, it's because you work
all
there.
that.
The
But I
same.
mean, dude,
It's the same for us at, where my husband and I, we're a both adjunct and it's the same.
we
Yeah.
got to find somebody that teaches at colleges that can, Joe.
Oh, I know. See, that's the thing. I worked in downtown for 30 years, and so I don't have the connections up in the Santa Clarita Valley that I should. Um, so I hopefully I can make some in the
I got to
next
call
time.
some coaches from Cal State San Bernardino because they play. I think they play baseball against those guys. So
Yeah.
I should see if my baseball coach buddy's still over there. If he is, I should call him and say, "Hey, man, I need a deal."
Yeah. But it'll be fine. Like I said, and one of the things I'll leave you with too is when I was in Canada, the organizers for Montclair were there. And, I spoke at Montclair this year, and he was saying that he comes up with a budget and there's a tug of war between him and the mentor, he tells the mentor, we're not going to cut that. So yeah, so if worse comes to worse, we'll fight for what we want. So it'll be fine. Yeah.
And the 2 day budget, total expenses were 22,000. The total income, $22,060. and the total income was 22,000. So it cost $60 to run the meeting. Not too bad.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to wrap it up here so I can go out and have some dinner. Are there any other questions or comments on anything?
No, Joe, that's awesome, buddy. Thanks.
All
Yeah.
good, man.
It'll
What a
be
great
fun. Like,
presentation.
and I was gonna say the other thing too is that this can be very stressful. So if there's any issues or anything that anyone has, feel free to reach out. I hope I don't step on any toes, but if I do, I apologize. But
Come
let's
on,
talk it
bro.
out. I know, in one of the events that I had a rough time because the the people that I would say, "Hey, how am I doing?" They would say, "Oh, you're doing great," but then they weren't really available to talk about issues or anything, so I didn't really like that. But so I just try to be available and I try to share what I know, and everybody here is got the enthusiasm and experience to do stuff great. So yeah, that's just how I work.
Come on, bro. I'm just like you, bro. We tough. You're gonna have to do a whole lot of yelling and screaming for me just to get slightly irritated, and I'll just pull you aside and say, "Hey, man, what the fuck? Like, why are you going crazy,
Yeah,
brother? Like, we're
and
we're
but
on your
that's it,
team."
and that's the main thing. Let's just don't let anything fester. Let's talk it out. So all right.
All
Any
right.
other
Thanks.
Excellent.
questions or comments? Like I said, next time we'll have more. I'll have more updates. I'll have the budget stuff. I'll show you the behind the scenes, Adrian, in that where I showed you the timeline. Another one of
Yep,
the
yep.
tabs is budget, and that's where you see the spreadsheet of
Yeah.
the proposed budget, and then there's an accordion where the approved budget is, and then you could
Mhm.
compare the before and after. So I'll take a screenshot of the previous ones that we've done. And again, we only had one in person, so that's probably the one that be the best one to compare. But again, I'll have that for the next meeting and we can look at that. And then if there's anything, reach out to me in the meantime, and then I'll see you next month.
All
Awesome.
right.
All right.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Happy
Same to you.
holidays.
Happy
Yeah.
Oh, y'all,
Are you
holidays.
doing
man.
anything? Are you traveling or home or
Um,
okay. All right.
yeah.
See you folks.
All right.
Have a
All
good evening.
right.
Bye.
Ciao.
Later.
Bye.
Good evening.